Oh, mm. All right. So that was about maybe 20 minutes ago. Um, After much consideration, I decided I would do the stream about Frieza instead of some other character because I do want to I want to get this out of the way, but I'd rather go through the larger ones currently than the kind of like dilly dally and do some smaller ones. Also, God, it's amazing how quickly things can just pile on someone. Like when I did the stream yesterday, I was talking about how stupid Wikipedia is, and they did something dumb again. And I'll talk about it probably this week. And then there was a group of people who came over here who, it's like people don't even know what the hell a quarantine is. I see these people come over here. They're not let in by me, by other people. It's not that large a group, but it's still several a day. And they just make these messes. They leave all this trash. I don't know. And these are grown adults who will like take drinks. And instead of throwing them away, they'll put them right there on the counter or somewhere that they were sitting and just, I guess, hope the drink magically finds its way to the trash can or if it's recyclable to a recycling bin. Like, it's just so weird. And then it's another thing. If you put up a recycling bin, like, I don't understand these people at all. But just imagine how lazy it is or how screwed up it is to know that someone recycles and they have a little container of recyclables that is less than 20 feet from the trash can, and you put recyclables into the trash can as opposed to the recyclable area. Like, it's that kind of stupid stuff I really hate. So yeah, yesterday was it started off pretty decent and it just kind of spiraled into another period of annoyance. Because again, I people just do not want to act normal. They have this incessant desire to make very basic things out to be very difficult and a big deal. And if you try to sit them down, and explain something, they don't listen. It's an exercise in futility. Is all I can say. But yeah, I'll get just to the stuff now. I got to do the preamble because these things kill me. Like this morning when I was just sitting there and thinking about the situation with you know all this stuff that happened yesterday. I just had to close my eyes, and it's aggravating. Anyways, let's talk about Frieza. So he was based off of one of Toriyama's editors. I'm pretty sure I remember Toriyama saying that he basically used the inspiration from for Frieza's appearance of what he thought a demon would look like, or these scary creatures and whatnot. And I remember the naming convention for Frieza actually is in tandem with the Ginyu Force. So Ginyu, J, Skolo, Raccoon, Burger are all named after what you would find in a freezer. Juices and different foods and whatnot. Uh, he's what's a good word to say it? I'd probably I'd say of all of the villains we've ever had, ties the most into Goku directly, which is uh, you could argue is the reason they keep bringing him back. Even though, in my opinion, the reason they bring them back after the first time, which was during the Cell arc, is because they wanted to cash on the most iconic villain from the series. But yeah, he's said to have destroyed the Saiyans planet. It's funny because in the English dub for Z, the first one they did, you actually had Reddit say that their planet, so the Saiyans planet, was destroyed 3 years ago. So that basically it's this dub error that is so wrong and incorrect It literally undoes most of the. I mean, if the planet was destroyed 3 years ago, Goku could have gone there as an adult, basically. So that was just. I always thought that dub era was kind of funny because it pretty much erases what Frieza did to the Saiyans. But yeah, he's introduced in his own arc. He's got Zarbon Dodoria. He's got just the only villain probably of the manga that has a whole arsenal of people working for him. He's got Dodoria, Zarbon, Kui, um, obviously the Ginyu Force. That's like what, 8 guys? Yeah, I'm all right with him, Elliot. Uh, so he's introduced one of the Dragon Balls, wanting immortality, pretty much a nice. I don't want to. I guess what I could consider him is probably a more evil version of Vegeta, because even at though in the Freeze arc, Vegeta is not depicted as being a hero, he still is shown to have some restraint. So when Vegeta gets what he thinks is the last Dragon Ball, he could have killed Krillin and Bulma, but chooses not to. He just takes it and leaves. And then when he's fighting Frieza with Gohan and Krillin, he saves Gohan by knocking him down to not take Frieza's blast. So it's really interesting to see a slightly not as bad Vegeta compared to the one from the Saiyan arc, with a complete monster that Frieza was supposed to be depicted as. That's the only thing that Dragon Ball loves to do with its antagonists. They love to give them no redeeming qualities so that you can enjoy when they get murdered and killed and whatnot. And this is something that they've been doing pretty much with every villain since Tao Pai or probably King Piccolo, with the exceptions of Boo, which is why I like Boo so much. Just he's like a breath of fresh air. Well, Fat Boo, not Kid Boo or Super Boo, but Fat Boo is the only one from Z that the only main villain from Z that doesn't have the same uh, basic personality traits. And I remember I excused Cell for acting the way he did because he's actually supposed to be, uh, related to Frieza. So it's like, okay, I get that he acts that way, but when Boo starts acting that way, I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, he spends most of his arc actually kind of just in the background. Like we get the scene where he's in the Namekian village. Then we have the scene where he meets the Ginyu Force. There's the scene where he's beaten up Nail. It's pretty one-sided. That's one of the things that I think I mentioned that the before, that one of the ways Toriyama used to convey that the villain was strong without trying to embarrass a character was to have the villain fight multiple people, which is why when I had one of my commentators say that Dragon Ball doesn't have double battles, like I laughed because uh, what do you call Goku, Krillin, and Gohan versus Vegeta? What do you call uh, Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta versus Frieza? I mean, it's just people are weird. Heck, there's even a itty bitty fight between Final Form Frieza and Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan after he transforms. Oh, I hope not, Elliot. That's another thing we're going to get into. I'm sick of all these villains suddenly becoming good guys. I hate that. No, that is ridiculous. Like if you want some good guys, use the ones you already have. But yeah, they were pretty much just he just completely wrecks Nail. Nail was only there to buy time, and then later be fused with Piccolo forever. And Frieza meets up with the, I guess, main cast of the arc. Just starts completely. It's funny because they try to. I always say that one of the things that the show starts to not make good reasons for is making characters act in ways that are not congruent with the, like Frieza shows up, he's pissed Dragon Balls have been used. But instead of just killing everybody there by turning into a second form, or staying in the first one but using like a death ball or something, he just decides I'm gonna take my time slowly, defeating each one of you, and then I'll kill you afterward. And see, this is what got on my nerves about like universal power scale system because all they had to do to have Frieza be intimidating and in my opinion keep up his rage would just be to have the rest of the group running away or because like I said, my issue with him prolonging turning into his second or form is he basically in a screwed up in like a roundabout way buys time for Piccolo to show up and be able to stand toe to toe with them in the second form. Which, by the way, is personally my favorite of any of the Frieza fights besides the one with Goku and Frieza. Probably my favorite fight because you don't really get even fights like that anymore. Like where just two characters are even with each other. It's either one's slightly stronger, one's definitely stronger, one's definitely weaker. It's really funny that they basically copied, like with the 17 fight in the Cell arc with Piccolo. They pretty much copied the same, uh, I guess, story beat where he could defeat them, but they're so even that you don't know which way it's going to go. Also, by the way, Frieza's second form is always my favorite one because it's like this big, muscular presence. That's why I really wish that they would use those again instead of just having him always in his first or fourth one. I know the fourth and the first one are the most iconic, but the second one to me always just kind of looked the most not menacing, but it appeared the most physically threatening. Yeah, that's just my opinion. I like the second form. That's like a thing. I always like the second form of the villain because I like Cell's second form a lot. It's not my favorite, but it's a form I like. And then Toriyama said he likes the second form as well. Mm. But yeah, they have this really nice fight, and it goes on for probably I think a couple of chapters, few episodes, and then Frieza gets like basically rage quits and transforms to his third form, which is my least favorite design wise because I think if anyone has seen TFS, you know the alien reference. I give it credit. It looks distinct, but it's just not. I don't know. Like it just throws me off with the way it's like the back is angled. And, what a it's so weird to think about the third form and the fourth form because the first and second do look like each other a bit, except the second one is taller and bulkier. But the third one and the fourth one, I don't think look anything alike, personally. Yeah, the third form just basically has nobody that actually can take it on. I do like that during the Frieza fight, you have Gohan have his little rage moment where he shoots Frieza with the blast, and it's like, oh my god, he could hurt me, and oh, just kidding. Um, oh, I should mention that the second form impaled Krillin, and then Krillin came back and cut his tail off. Yeah, Krillin did a lot of helpful stuff during the Frieza arc, and it kind of sucks because I could say the same thing about his role in the Saiyan and Cell arc too, but for whatever reason, people like to pretend he's just another one of the humans. So they keep up playing their little game. But yeah, the final form shows up, then they gets killed. You have it's really weird because a sequence I really like that no one ever talks about is the scene right after Frieza goes to his final form and kills Dende, where you have Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin all rush him. Because that's really the only time when Frieza's in that form you see multiple people fight him at once. After that, it's just Frieza versus Vegeta again. Except this time, no games, just complete domination. Mm. I just really like that sequence. They all just charge him and attack him together, and they can't do anything. Because it's a lot more respectable to them as characters to lose together versus having one person just get blown to pieces, pretty much. Like what they did with Krillin after Perfect Cell transform, where they just had him kick him, and he just basically almost kills him there. I don't like stuff like that because if you want to sell a villain as being strong, you can just use someone's attacks to show that instead of having them beat up everybody. especially if it's not even like a little bit of a power creep or anything. It was weird whenever they do stuff like that. But yeah, the Frieza versus Vegeta fight with Frieza's fourth form is probably one of the most graphic fights we've had. Like he gets him with his tail and just starts beating him in the back, and by the end of it, he's left bleeding on on the ground. And one of my favorite things about Toriyama when he was writing the manga, as opposed to what we've seen with a lot of Super, is that he knew how to increase stakes and to set up a scenario where it just looked completely hopeless. Um, and I had criticized the Cell arc for uh, the scenario of having a character which was Super Saiyan 2 Gohan pretty much be able to just completely dominate Cell. And because you want every arc to have some kind of stake tension type ending, you have to have him get handicapped by losing his arm. And then now it's supposed to be a really scary, oh my God, who's going to win fight. But see, in the Frieza arc, he didn't have to do that because Frieza was already stronger than everybody we had seen him fight against. And Goku was taking a long time to get out that healing chamber. So it was a more organic way of the story developing. It wasn't something contrived. So I said the latter part of the Cell arc, it has some missteps. Whereas with all the arcs that follow, they have a bunch of missteps all over the place. There are so many horrors I have yet to show you. I remember that. Oh, before we get to the Goku versus Frieza fight, when I was little, this is while the original dub of Z was airing, where Frieza was voiced by Linda Young, who, as I mentioned before on the I think it was yesterday's stream, that she is the mother of the voice actor of TN in English. So his name is like first name is John or something. But when I was younger, all everybody says is Frieza a girl because of his voice. The one that sounds like this. They would always try to figure out what his and I thought when I was like in grade school that, oh, maybe that's just me being stupid, or I'm not paying attention because they do say he often, or he with recurrence. But then I remember there were publications that actually talked about his androgynous appearance. So it was just funny because if they just removed the lips, I don't think anyone would actually think that he was a woman. So that would have been pretty interesting though if it was like this evil broad dictator. Yeah, it was good. So it was funny just to think about that people thought he was a chicken, and that's why the only voice replacement that I think is better, or at least okay, out of the ones that came out of Kai is Chris Ayers, because when you hear him speak, you know it's not a woman. Uh, but the rest of them, like replacing Tiffany Vollmer with Rial and the other, like it's just dumb. It's stupid. But yeah, that was just something I thought to bring up because it's, I guess, an early memory of Frieza and just how people thought of him outside of the show. Um, so the Goku versus Frieza fight's probably, yeah, it's the longest fight in the manga. It's like 20 something episodes in the show. There was actually someone who posted it on YouTube in full because people used to post full fights from just all kind of shows on YouTube before the companies that animate the shows started coming after them. But there was a person who posted the Goku versus Frieza fight, and that thing was 4 hours long. Oh my god, that fight! I don't even know where to begin. There's a scene I like it that I don't think anyone ever talks about where Goku just kicks Frieza in the face. But before we do that, let's get into Frieza becoming the murderer of a main character. So, uh, Toriyama was told by his fans after Vegeta's beatdown that he didn't want that they didn't want other to have Vegeta die because they really liked him and whatnot. And he actually said that because they all wrote requesting that Vegeta live, he chose to kill him off. Uh, I always thought that was amusing that the fans requested something and you do the exact opposite. That's kind of how it is now. Anytime you ask for a certain character to be used in a prominent role, you usually get denied. Like I still can't believe they brought back 17. That was crazy. But yeah, after he kills Vegeta, Goku buries him. They start their long, ridiculously dragged out fight, and I guess it's kind of interesting to watch because it's Goku trying to surpass his limits. It just drags on. Like the only version of it I can read is one in the manga. Other than that, and I guess it's actually not as bad before he turns Super Saiyan because when he turns Super Saiyan, it goes to being this one-sided kind of like, oh my God, Frieza's realizing that this form that he's always been afraid of is actually real. But before that, it was a little more interesting because you had the side commentary of Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan, and then you also in the show usually for filler they would have some scene where as Goku's fighting Frieza, you get a little clip of something happening at Kame House. I did like that because it still made characters that weren't featured prominently in that arc, like Roshi and uh, the rest of them, still have a little bit of a role. But yeah, my favorite part probably is when Goku's trying to do the Spirit Bomb, which is a move that I think is so overrated and overused. But we'll get to that later. This is when it wasn't. This is when I thought it was still all right to use this move, or when I thought it was still decent. And he's trying to collect the energy, and Piccolo gets Gohan and Krillin's energy and just attacks Frieza. Because I remember in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, they adapted that scene in the game, and you can actually beat Frieza as Piccolo. It's kind of difficult because of the little damage that you do to him, but you can actually win that fight as Piccolo. This is one of the things I liked about that game. They have a lot of alternate scenarios for you to use. And some of them do involve Frieza. I don't think in his arc there's any like big differences. Like you can defeat a lot of the people earlier than you actually do in the show. So, but yeah, um, they give him this. They give Piccolo their energy. Piccolo just starts wrecking Frieza, or he would if they actually mattered. He's able to buy time for Goku, and then after getting smashed, they use the Spirit Bomb. It looks like Frieza died. The story's over. Everybody has a good laugh. Uh, and I have to admit, when I first saw that, I actually was tricked because, I mean, it's the Spirit Bomb. It's the whole universe's energy, and all the people got together and are using this attack. It has to work, and then except it didn't. And Frieza then, seemingly kills Piccolo, even though he's not actually dead. He then kills Krillin. One of the most iconic scenes ever happens after where we get the first Super Saiyan transformation. Frieza is just as floored as the audience. God, I remember, it's so funny because I get really sick of the overusage of transformations now, but that was actually when it was pretty fresh, when they actually still mattered and had some relevance to the story, as opposed to now where it's just every arc going to get a new form, just over and over. We can't get new moves; we have to get new forms. So we can have Goku use Kamehameha for 30 years without any other attack besides Spirit Bomb. The best part, try to end the fight like I said, is done to Frieza just like I'm not beaten. Yeah, that's toward the end of the fight because Frieza got upset that Goku wanted to just end it and walk away. Which again is it was a character choice of him just not wanting to fight a weaker opponent and feeling as if he got revenge because he embarrassed Frieza by being so much stronger than him. The fight in the manga actually is much more. uh, non-even-handed because during the oh, where did Ruben? You finally returned, man. I was trying to figure out where you went yesterday. We had this big stream with like 14 or 15 people. Like, where did Ruben go? Ruben, 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 where are you? I was saying, Elliot, the fight in the manga is actually way less even because it's Frieza doing all these attacks in his ultra power form with the big shoulders, and he just can't hit Goku at all. So in the show, they make it seem as if I mean, like right after Goku transforms, that's it. He can't do anything to him other than throw out a couple of attacks. Oh, speaking of Frieza's buffed up form, we never see that anymore. And I actually did kind of like the way it looked because it's that skinny, sleek design with these big, broad shoulders. Like all the energy is just powered into his arm so he can hit at some with some stronger attack. And I don't know why they don't use it. Because he still should be able to access it. It's from his final form. But we know we gotta suck off the gold form, so we're not having that. Oh, thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it. Yeah, your friends on Wikipedia are gonna get talked about this week. They did something really dumb that pissed me off yesterday. Man, when I saw what they did, I literally got frozen in my seat. It's like, well, really, seriously, all right. Um, I mean, I guess the problem is the show's over currently, and they're not using him at all in the moral arc. They had like one panel, one page of him in the special edition, and that was it. So saying he's going to get a new form while he's not getting used is like me saying Cell's going to get a new form. They're not using him long enough to even give him one. But yeah, he gets completely dominated by Super Saiyan Goku, and then they have the final scene where he is given energy by Goku because Goku has this thing of every villain he tries to show a little bit of sympathy toward. Uh, and then as Goku's leaving, Frieza fires with the energy. Goku attacks back. Frieza is seemingly killed. Again, seemingly. And that's I don't understand how they let him survive that because what it's just that was probably one of the first gripes I had with Z, where it's one of those like because this is a show that likes to kill characters off left and right. So to let Frieza survive, getting blasted right in the face with that, I don't whatever. All they had to do was just have him die there, and then have King Cold resurrect him with I don't know some Dragon Balls from Earth or it's like or they could have just had King Cold come by himself and said he was as strong as Frieza. No, them like not letting him die from that was that didn't they didn't explain that properly to me. Or what's wrong with Carrot? I didn't really have a problem with her personally. If they were going to put any broad on the group, I would have on the crew. I would have preferred Perona because she has these really cool powers, ghost powers. I like her a lot more than Brooke. Mm. But yeah, so it looks as if Frieza died, and then during the I guess Trunks arc, that's what they call it. I would just say the beginning of the Cell arc, but whatever. They have all kind of classifications. Frieza is shown to have returned with his dad. He's got this mecha form, which I thought looked all right. It was, it does have like a spare part. I built this in a box of scraps appearance, but it still was. I had no reason to not take it seriously, especially if you had only seen the Saiyan and Frieza arc and you knew how powerful Frieza was considered in the show at that point. But make no mistake about it, him coming back and King Cold coming to Earth is just to make future Trunks look cooler by killing them both. Because that's what started to happen after the Frieza arc. We got less double or triple battles against one opponent to make that opponent look strong, and just have one person just do 1v1s where they just take everybody out left and right. So yeah, his death is what allows future Trunks to look cooler. It introduces us to the second Super Saiyan in the manga. Um, but outside of that, it really doesn't accomplish anything. I guess it would have been nice to see Frieza get scared at seeing Goku again, because they never interact in the manga after the Frieza arc. They brought him back in the Cell arc. Yeah, I like Cooler as well. I'll get into him later. So yeah, they in my opinion really did waste King Cold, and like I don't know what the point of making that character was, just to kill him off at the start of his introduction. They should have just brought Frieza back by himself, or let King Cold escape, maybe play a role later on. Like I didn't like that. That was that he's probably one of the most short-lived antagonists ever. Right up there with 19 and Goldo, where they just don't get to have any impact on the story other than getting murdered. But yeah, that was Frieza's death. That's how it was for the rest of Z. I know he's in filler. There was some filler after the Cell arc where it's him and Cell in hell, and they're causing havoc, and Goku shows up, and Frieza's like, "Wait, it's Goku!" And he's like so scared, and they all get killed or taken out by Pycon and put in jail, who is also who is a filler character in of himself. Nah, Deborah was the most wasted for me. I love Deborah. Deborah's got just all about him is wasted, especially in X Universe 2. Let's make Deborah's sister the main villain of the game and not put him in it. What a brilliant decision that was. Um, yeah, he has some filler appearances, and it was funny because the movies typically. Okay, Elliot, you realize that they could make it canon if they wanted to, right? You know that Broly was non-canon, and then he was made canon. And Gregory, that little cricket that's always with King Kai, was non-canon, and he was made canon. So it's not exactly a thing, that a requirement. If a character has enough popularity, either among the writing staff or the fans, they will be brought back or made canon. But yeah, for the rest of Z, he's not there. We get another scene of him in hell where he's watching the Kid Buu fight. And then the thing about the films for Z is that they usually never use the villains from the show, which is why Vegeta is absent from like. And I always say to people, you can tell that they didn't think Vegeta was going to be a good guy or a major character, because he's missing from, I think it's like the first 5 movies of Z. Like for those 5 films, it's consistently Goku, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, and then after that, it's they add Vegeta in. But that's why he's not in any of those movies, because he wasn't seen as a protagonist. But Frieza's in Fusion Reborn. Uh, he's got one of my favorite lines ever, where when he recognizes Gohan, he says to the different escapees from hell, "Teach this son of a Saiyan a lesson." And they all just attack him, and no one can do anything to him. It was just nice, because we don't usually get to see adult Gohan ever be strong enough to fight any main villain. Like, and I guess it's in when the hindsight of Frieza getting this big power increase after Battle of Gods, so during Resurrection F, and knowing that Gohan can't keep up or can't catch up, it makes that scene hold a lot more weight, because it's before the writers decided to jerk him off that they allowed him to get beaten by Gohan in that scene. I've always wondered how he was in normal health, and suddenly in a field of flowers hung from a tree. Well, again, that's for plot convenience. They don't explain it. They just ask you to go along with it. It's the same thing with his powers. Like they said, oh, Frieza trained for 4 months, and now he's stronger than now he's as strong as a Super Saiyan Blue. He just passed all this big levels of height of power. So if that's to be the case, why the hell doesn't he just keep on training? If he trains for a full year, shouldn't he be stronger than everybody? If in that quick of time he can get to this massive level of power. That's why I said that the show it'll rattle off something like that, but it doesn't consider the long-term ramifications of what it's implying. Like you're implying that if he just keeps training, he'll surpass everybody. But you can't let him do that, or else, I mean, then he'd be the strongest character. Oh, I know it wasn't. But that's why I said that he doesn't appear in Z after getting killed because Hell was not shown in the manga ever. Hey, Ruben, remember the one time on Snake Way where Goku fell and went to Hell? I think he was on the back of someone's truck for whatever reason. It was weird. Mm. In GT, they don't really do anything with them there. Like I already said, the Hellfighter, the Super 17 arc is frustrating because there were a lot of good ideas and cool matchups we could have had, and all him and Cell do is just sit around, antagonize Goku. Frieza mocks Goku for his getting cuter, and they just they're there to kind of stall because, and it's weird too because it's like fan service, but they can't do anything to Goku anymore because he's surpassed them so much. Well, that's why I said they gave Frieza one of Cell's components. See, they're really stupid because all they had to do, Elliot, was just have him get resurrected by his goons, and then have them wish for him to be as strong as the Saiyans are now. That would have been it, and it would make perfect sense. There would be no one saying, "Oh my God, this is a plot hole." But they choose to they gave him a cell trait of training. Is the only villain that ever trained, that ever wanted to just be a fighter and to some aspect was Cell. Everybody else, they were as strong as they were or they weren't. I was just thinking about that. They do mention in passing that Raditz went on a killing spree over there, and it's like, how do you kill anyone that's dead? It's like what? Oh, they don't even care. They just say rant. They just give you a plot element. All right, let me go to Resurrection F. So when I saw the first poster, or when Resurrection F was revealed to be what it was, which was a Frieza revival movie, I was really excited because I saw a lot of potential in that film. I wanted to see 18 meet Frieza because he killed her husband. I wanted to see uh, Vegeta's interactions with him because Vegeta was always saying, I'm a Super Saiyan," and he wasn't, but now he is. He's not only a Super Saiyan, but he's also, in these advanced stages of this form. So I was really looking forward to it. And what we got was kind of, I mean, to call it a letdown would be an understatement. I'm going to try to avoid discussing the whole film because there's a lot of stuff to get into. But just like on a quick breakdown, I don't like that Beerus and Whis are in that movie because they eliminate the stakes of the film. Because even if Frieza beats all of the Z fighters, Beerus is not going to let Frieza destroy Earth when he wants to have all the sweets and eat all the foods that are made there. So them being there takes away from the stakes severely. Uh, the fight between Frieza and Vegeta was all right. It's got a really crappy conclusion where Frieza just blows up the whole world and only a couple of people survive, and then Whis undoes everything, and then Goku. It just I hated the way that the film actually turned out. I hated that Goku beat him again, even though another character really should have done it, and it would have had a much more poetic sense to it of Vegeta avenging the Saiyans at last by taking out the person that killed his race, which it's like all relates back to his pride and heritage and whatnot. I was pissed that 18 didn't get to meet him because I thought that could have been a really interesting character interaction. And even when she meets him in the Tournament of Power, they still don't let her interact with him. It's just so I said there's a lot of wasted stuff that happens in Dragon Ball. But yeah, my ideal film would have been to keep the Frieza versus Vegeta fight, and then but have them kind of be even, kind of like you don't know which way it could go, sort of like how Piccolo and second form Frieza were. And then as Vegeta and Frieza are in this energy struggle, and looks like Frieza might be winning or might be kind of like gaining on Vegeta, all of a sudden you notice that Frieza's arms and legs are cut off, and then you get this backward shot, and you see Krillin standing there with his Kiens on, and you realize that's the reason why all of Frieza's body parts are all over the place, and then Vegeta just blows him away and just kills him, because it would have been both of the main characters he killed during the Frieza arc getting revenge and killing him. That would have been, I don't care what anybody says, it would have been way better than what we got. Would have had a lot more poignance to it. I think that would have been a much better conclusion than let's rehash Goku fighting him again. The two people he killed killing him, that would have been perfect for me anyway. I think it would have been nice, because that way it's like both of them do it or participate in killing him. I know Ruben is telling me I'm stupid and that he loves the ending for Resurrection F. He thought that was so great, spectacular. No, that movie really disappointed me. I was hoping for so much more, and we got so little. It's funny too because Frieza's kind of like a looming presence over Super, and I never like they have the comparisons between him and Frost during the Universe 6 tournament, but I just kind of considered his arc, because the arc in the show is even worse. It's just a stretched out, uglier version of the movie. Which again, I would rather just watch the movie because it is better paced, in my opinion. But that's kind of what is so frustrating about the retelling, that they don't care to add anything new to it. And then in the manga, I love that they just skip all of Resurrection F. That was pretty amusing that they decided to hell with that arc. But yeah, when the Tournament of Power came out, we were shown this big poster that had Boo on it. I got excited because Boo hadn't done anything in any arc really since his own arc. And then all of a sudden we get this episode where Boo is sleeping, and I'm like, what the hell again? And I was like, oh, who are they going to bring back? And then it was revealed that it was Frieza. I was like, wow, really? No, that completely surprised me because they actually let Boo participate in the pre-tournament, the preliminary match. He got a really nice fight with this. I think it was Bazil was his name, this wolf character. And I really thought they were going to finally do something with Boo, and they tricked me, and they swapped him out with Frieza, and I was annoyed because not so much that it was Frieza coming back again because whatever it happens, but the fact that you had a character in Boo who they kept not using, and now they were just going to not have him be used again for a reason I thought was stupid once more. But listen, there was a commentator I used to watch who would talk about Dragon Ball, and they said one of the good things that came out of Frieza being in the Tournament of Power is that now the Resurrection F film actually matters. Because before, you could watch Super and ignore Resurrection F, and it wouldn't make a difference because Blue was already introduced before that movie came out, or rather, it was something that was already obtained before that film came out. That's that's one of the things I liked about Tournament of Power. It was the only arc of Super that really seemed to have organic storytelling, where it tied back into a lot of the stuff that was set up before. It tied into the first tournament. Frieza coming back ties it into the Resurrection F arc. Um, the that same god that died in the, I forgot what his name is, the elephant. He shows up that he died in the Future Trunks arc, an alternate timeline, but still. So Frieza's return did bring stuff to the story I really like. I did get kind of annoyed that people kept wanting him and Frost to be a team because it's like it was just weird to me. There was this really big push by a lot of the fans to see those two characters interact, and I guess with me, the way I look at it is if they don't have anything in common, which they don't, I don't understand what the need is to see the two of them speak to each other, and it was just weird, man. I didn't understand. I really was confused. I thought it was strange. Oh, but I do like the recruitment episode with Frieza because when Goku goes to see him, they start punching each other in the stomach. It just has this nice tension to it that I like. I'm gonna get on Elliot for saying, oh, me neither. I did. The only people from Universe 6 I liked were Hit and Kaba. The rest of them, throw them in the trash. Man, Kaba is such a wasted character. It's like we could have really had Vegeta be someone's mentor, and instead we got pretty much sit there and accept that the only Saiyans they're gonna focus on outside of Goku and Vegeta are the two broads that fuse together. I want Goku to die again, and this time for good, but it's already too late for Dragon Ball as a whole to make any real meaningful writing and storytelling with the many previous. How's that one song go? It's never too late. No, but the writers don't care, so that's why it doesn't happen. I don't know why they can't just let him be dead, but then still play a role in the story, like with the BoJack movie. He was dead there, but he still had a role. Can do at this point have him ascend to heaven. Yeah, he's gonna be the next god of destruction. Hey, the term of power was his application because he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get all these universes erased. That's gonna be my first step to being a god of destruction." That's how he rolls. Let me see. I'm trying to remember what all Frieza did during that arc. There was a couple of stuff I remember. Um, he along with the androids, Goku and Vegeta, tells Gohan to go to hell when Gohan wants them to stick together and goes fights off people by himself. He has a partnership with Frost where it looks like they're both teaming up to beat up Gohan and get him out of the ring until he double crosses Frost, which I actually like because that was an angle that they were showing before the tournament started. This idea of universes working with each other to screw with Seven or with the other universes. I know he helps them fight that Anilza guy. That's that big fusion thing. And what else happened? Oh, obviously the ending as well. Yeah, I'd say my favorite thing. My least favorite thing. Let's do that first. In the whole tournament is eliminate Kaba, and Kaba gets eliminated right after. He just hides most of the time. Yeah, but Kaba gets eliminated right after he meets with Vegeta again. And this is what I said about bad writing because instead of making an arc where you bring back Future Trunks and ruin his timeline and completely destroy everything he worked for, all they had to do was just make that same arc have Kaba in it, or have they damn, because they want you to think, oh, Vegeta really cares about him and wants him to be stronger, and he wants to mentor, but he doesn't do anything with them for arcs. We don't see Kaba at all, like in the Future Trunks arc, other than the baseball episode with Vegeta. So like, what? Oh my god. But yeah, I didn't like that Frost got rid of Kaba because in my opinion, he's probably out of the personalities of Universe 6, the one I like the most. Again, him and Hit are basically tied in my view, but I guess maybe Hit's a little bit more for his He has his really cool powers, but you get the point that I didn't like that they got rid of Frost, and I especially didn't like that they had not Frost, got rid of Kaba, and that they used Frieza to do it. And I know Frieza hates Saiyans. Ah, ha, ha, he was able to take one out, but it still was kind of annoying. But yeah, the double cross is good. The one scene where he's supposed to be giving Goku energy and it looks like he's gonna blast him off the ring was nice. That's one of the main things I liked about his role in the arc, that he's this evil character that is supposed to be on the good guys team for this season, and you just keep wondering if he's going to switch, or there's an unpredictable instability to it. Is what I like. Hey, Ruben, is it true that Frieza is an anti-villain? Because from what we've seen, he's pretty much like I don't get that at all. Whatever. Like the only reason he was on Universe Seven's team was to save himself, and right after getting out of this tournament, he went and got a Saiyan to try and kill Goku and Vegeta. But that's supposedly a character with redeeming quality. Oh my god. And it's scary because I've actually seen people propose making him good. Like, damn, not every villain has to turn good. Not every villain has to have redeeming qualities. Not every villain has to cooperate in a nice manner with the heroes. So them doing that for that tournament was pretty cool, but outside of something like that, keep him evil. I haven't seen any heroes in Dragon Ball have a bunch of subordinates, so I think they realize that they're not going to be that stupid to make that mistake. But who knows? They mess up a lot of stuff. Yeah, but oh, I remember that one of the episodes has him. I believe he rushes Topo because it's him that gets rid of Dispo and Gohan, which I already said I hated. I, for the most part, like Gohan's role in the arc, but how he exits is so stupid and uh, kind of lame. I can't. We can't catch up to this really fast guy, so I'm gonna hold him down so you can blast us both out of the ring. And in my perfect version of this arc, they would have had Gohan fight Topo and beat him, and then have Vegeta and Goku beat Jiren, or take him out together. That only depends if you are among those who say the Saiyans are the real villains to DB, but otherwise, Frieza is not an anti-hero. Seed not say that. Yeah, I don't get how anyone characterizes him as having redeeming qualities if he's still trying to kill the Saiyans. And it's weird, man. People, I don't know what's with them. But yeah, during the rest of that tournament, he gets knocked out by Topo, and he falls under some kind of rock or crevice. And see, this is really cool because people were wondering what they were going to do with him because we didn't see him get eliminated. We just saw him get knocked behind something. So a lot of us were speculating, oh, he's probably still in the tournament. They're just letting him stay down there for other plot reasons. And I remember there were people who were saying, wouldn't it be crazy if Goku took Jiren out, or they took each other out, and then Frieza was the one that won the tournament? Which I'm glad they didn't do because I'm good. But yeah, they have Frieza knocked out for about, I think, 2 or 3 episodes, and then as Goku's about to get blasted out of the ring by Jiren following the Ultra Instinct failure, because that form, did not succeed. It failed. Uh, you have him get saved by Frieza in 17, and my God, that ending was so much better than what I thought we were going to get. So in that last episode of Super, you have 17, Frieza, and Goku team up against Jiren. And I remember that they have this really nice scene where Frieza can't trust Goku to keep his word or to act in accordance with what he's claiming. It's such a God. Super's writing is for the most part pretty awful to me, but when they're relying on the character work of Z, they tend to be much better. But yeah, Frieza helps win the tournament by taking Jiren out with Goku and at least 17 as the last one in the ring. Then after 17 uses the wish, Frieza wants to, go back to hell. And then Whis brings him back to life, which I saw some fans groan at because that basically sets the stage for more returns of Frieza. After his third return, we knew the fourth one was inevitably coming. Also, let me define what the return is. When I say return, I mean him coming back in the story as the main villain or as a main character in an arc. So if they do an arc where, I don't know, Goku or somebody else goes to hell and they ask Frieza a question for one episode or a chapter, I don't count it as a return. But they brought him back at the start of the Cell arc for Resurrection F and for Tournament of Power, and now Broly. Because remember, he's not in that movie as someone that is just getting messed with by Broly. He orchestrates the plot by recruiting Broly. We already saw what happened by bringing back Goku every time he dies. I already said, Ruben, that if they're going to do the villain bring back thing, at least mix it up. Like, I really have to see Frieza come back a fifth time before Cell comes back once. I'm not even, and I tried to explain this before, because you have people in the Dragon Ball talking about Dragon Ball should move forward, not backwards. We don't need to see old villains get brought back. And I said, if they can do something original or entertaining or unique with that villain the second time, I don't have a problem with it. I didn't think Resurrection F was that good a story, either the movie or the show. The movie was better than the show, definitely, just the way it looked and whatnot. Oh yeah, they should. I would like to see King Cold get used again because again, we don't know anything about him, and that's how you know it's just nostalgia that keeps this happening. But I don't have a problem with them bringing back a character if they can use them differently than before. So when he came back in the tournament, I got upset mainly because he took Boo's place, and we hadn't seen Boo do anything in all of Super. But they used him, I think, probably the best out of any arc he's been in since the Frieza arc. Like he interacts with the rest of the cast in a very unique way. And while I think Boo would have interacted with them in a very unique way, Frieza's used effectively there to increase stakes. Now he doesn't say it at Arc because there's a lot of other problems that Arc has, but I definitely think that he's one of the better parts of the arc. So I'm just tired of people saying, "Oh, they can't bring back old." That's what the fans say, and then when you actually watch their show, they bring back Frieza 4 times, and they have 4 Broly movies, but we don't like villains coming back. Okay. And remember, neither Broly or Frieza is dead, so they're going to show up again, inevitably. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'd love to see Zarbon again because he actually had a pretty cool like gimmick. Oh, I'm so handsome, and then it would be nice to see one of those two return and get some development. Really, the Ginyu Force is probably the main group I can think of as far as likable antagonists that they should use again because they all had their own little personality and quirk and whatnot. Only one they let show up after the Frieza arc was Ginyu. Evil Power Rangers. Yeah, that's basically what they were, and they're pretty distinct among the villains. They actually did pack quite the punch until Goku showed up, which again is the formula for villains for henchmen, where or just villains of Z, where they're supposed to make the rest of the cast look like trash. Yeah, he only showed up to get killed. Well, that's why I didn't understand what the point of bringing him back, like having him do the swap in Resurrection F was. If you're just gonna have him die right there with no preamble or anything. What was else I gonna say? So let's do the Broly movie. So he gets this Saiyan, they enlist him in his army. Um, I did like the scene about Frieza wanting to use the Dragon Balls to look to get taller by a few inches, as if he's grown, basically giving up on immortality. Um, I don't know. He was pretty entertaining in that film. I'm not going to pretend he was. I just wish that we could see some of the other villains show up for once. I did like the scene where he's getting beaten up by Broly, and you get just see his face, and he's getting smashed in. Yeah, he's what else was I gonna say? So that's four returns. It would be cool if Frieza had a Elliot, you know he has a son, right? Chill or whatever his name is. That's in was it Nico Majin Z? A daughter. Well, remember, we don't even know if his race can even have they even have chicks because we've only seen his father and non-canonically his brother. So for all we know, it's just a bunch of dudes. That's what would make it interesting. I'm just saying, I don't know if they can actually all male race just like Piccolo. Yeah, all of for like anytime we see an alien race and it's a male that's the first one introduced as being of that race, then we can infer that there's a possibility it's just dudes. But it is funny watching people try to draw female Namekians. Let's give Piccolo some titties. Speaking of Piccolo, they had Frieza kill him during the not the Resurrection F movie, but during uh, the arc, and it was so stupid. That was them just trying to be nostalgic, and it means nothing because you don't give Piccolo or Gohan any screen time when compared to Goku and Vegeta. And then after killing Piccolo off, you bring him right back. That was a really dumb change they made in that film for that film's release as part of the show. It's really stupid. Let's have him kill off somebody and then bring them right back and have no reason to care or be concerned with that person's demise. They actually when they did that, they actually made Frieza, not Frieza. They made Piccolo the only character that's dead that dies in Z Super and GT. They're real stupid for that. That's not even a problem with Frieza. That's just a problem with the writing choice because it's like they're gonna have him kill Gohan. Oh no, Piccolo jumped in the way and took the blast. And you have people talking about this shows that Piccolo is Gohan's real dad. Like, man, it shows that they're trying to rely on nostalgia instead of making a good story as they stretch out a movie to be 5 hours long. Or how long was that arc? Like 10 episodes, 15. But yeah, Frieza's the most iconic villain in the series. Um, and it's funny because every time I say I want Cell back, I have the fans that don't want him back saying, no one can bring him back. His part is over. I actually brought up this story one time. It was a few months into the Tournament of Power. So this is like late 2017, it's before we found out about the Broly movie, where this person was like, "Who's going to bring back Cell?" and all this stuff, right? So after the Broly movie came out, and we this is while we weren't speaking to each other. We spoke to each other later on, and I said, "I just want Cell." He switched. He flipped his tune. He was like, "Oh yeah, I want him back too." After, because basically he came to the realization that they're going to keep on bringing villains back in some capacity. Like if it's in Resurrection F, they bring everybody back. If it's in the actual series itself with a movie, they bring Broly back. In the show, they brought Frieza back over and over. So it's like the resistance started to appear more futile when you realize that they're trying to do their nostalgia thing. Which again, I don't have a problem with if it's written well. Dragon Ball should move forward, not backward. Dude, they love the fans of this series love pretending like their word is the gospel. Like if it does something that they don't like, it's automatically off or wrong or bad. Um, I don't like them because that's why I don't like talking to them for the most part. 'Cause they start saying that crazy stuff. Like I've never sat back and said this should have happened. I always say I would have liked, I would have preferred this. I mean, it's not my story. It's not something I'm in control of. Like when I do get around to rewriting the arcs, where I want to do a video where I rewrite the Buu arc and write the Goku Black arc, it would just simply be me saying this is how I would have told this story. Um, it's just people have this like really weird, I guess, belief that they own this stuff and they don't. So yeah, fans are a obnoxious group in some instances. Oh, I'm trying to remember what game is that? I think it's Budokai 3 where you get to play as Majin Frieza. And that was just a thing they did. They made all the characters Majin in that game. They made Piccolo Majin, they made um Cell Majin. It was weird. I didn't really have a problem with it. It was just you don't usually see something like that. What else is there to discuss about him? I think that's pretty much it. I guess I am glad that the younger cast of people that started with Kai don't think he's a chick anymore because man, that's been going that claim or belief uh, was going around when I was much younger, where people would think he was a female for his voice. And it's weird too because a lot of male characters are voiced by women, and no one will say they're a chick. But again, it's because he had lips that they were thinking that. So I will do another one of these next week, probably on I guess maybe Boo to round out the rest of the main villains from Z. Uh, I hope you enjoyed, and if any last words to say, let me know, or speak now or forever hold your peace. I ran out of crap to say to see you later then. Yeah, it wouldn't be a stream without interruptions and stupidity. Always happens every time. But anyways, I'm glad I did the stream. And I'll see you tomorrow.